hello. Welcome to the Entertainment Audio Show with Jordan and Lane. He's Jordan.
Oh, yes, I am Jordan. I am Jordan.
And I'm Lane. Thank you for being here. And just a heads up, spoilers ahead, even for ourselves this week, or this month.
We just found this out. That
Yeah.
we were going to be spoiling some, more so, yeah, because, anyways.
You have a list of things that I have not seen.
Yeah, there's one thing we're going to talk about a little bit more in detail, that
I've been sick for like
you
2
haven't
weeks,
seen.
so.
I'm not going to go in super detail about a lot of these things that are on my list of stuff.
I mean, you can.
I don't want to. I don't want to say I don't want to. I just don't want to, like...
We'll see.
Well, I'll take a little bit of what I thought about some of these movies I've seen over the past month.
Yeah.
But I'm not going into detail about, except for one of them here that Lane gave me the okay for.
Well, I do want to... I'm really excited about this month, and even like the stuff we're gonna talk about soon. But I know personally, I want to get right into it because I got to talk about X-Men 97. If my brain will work properly.
Yes, because X-Men 97 is the big thing going on right now for the both of us.
Yeah.
And it may be the best thing that's gonna happen this year. It's gonna be hard to beat this.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I gotta already say though, Captain America in the most recent episode, I have absolutely loved it. Captain America is my absolute all-time favorite superhero. I love all versions of Captain America as well, but Steve Rogers' variation, just awesome. So when he popped up, I might have gotten a little emotional.
Yeah,
with all the hot down. And then the fight with Rogue for a second.
Oh, when which one?
Yes, exactly.
I don't know if you noticed, and we'll kind of wrangle ourselves here in a moment. I want to say this. I don't know if you noticed when she's fighting Ross's army, when she's trying to break into Ross's bunker. She's doing moves from Marvel vs. Capcom that she does in that game.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. This show, this kind of leads into what I want to talk about, what I think makes this show so great. Not only is this show made by people that are really great writers, they love X-Men.
Yeah. Oh, you could tell that from the beginning. Just the fact that they basically, and I hate to even say this because it's so good, but they basically remade the intro from the original show, but they updated it, and they now have they'll update it every week. What's going on. And I'm like, what's going on? Oh my god.
And that's a way of, and I know that one thing people are like, who on earth would ever skip this intro because it's such a great intro, but even more so now with the fact that it changes every week based on what the episode kind of entails.
The song
you kind of know what characters are going to be used, what story plots from the original series you may need to kind of bring back to the forefront a little bit. It's really good. And I know we talked about it on the last episode. We watched the first 2 episodes back then, and we were talking about how good it was. I honestly didn't expect it to get better than that.
Yeah. Oh no, last week when I cried for an hour. I'm not too much to admit that. That oh my gosh, the whole thing with Gambit. But then this episode with her, one of my favorite things in this most recent episode was when Ross goes, "You're supposed to be the good guys," and she leans in and says, "You killed all of those."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, that's how we're doing this.
Yeah, it's insane, and I don't know if I can't remember if I said it on the last episode, but I did say it to a friend the other day, and it made his jaw hit the ground and says, "You're right." That this show very easily could have been nostalgia bait get it out there for the people who want to see the end of the story and not really worry about everything. But what we got is so far, and I don't think they're not going to land the ending. So far, one of the, if not the best written superhero TV shows that have been produced.
Yeah.
And it could have been so easy just to throw it out there, some kind of easy, play the theme song. They're going to love whatever we do. But no, they're actually caring about this show.
Yeah. The fact that they cared enough to go back and get as many of the original voices as they could, like, that's the thing as well.
Yeah. Okay, I do want to ask that one thing, because I don't have a problem with this, but I have seen online some criticisms on that happening. What's your thoughts on Wolverine's voice?
What do you mean?
There's a lot of people online that don't, because it is slightly different than what you hear in the original series, because the actor has aged. But they also, I've heard they tweaked it to make it sound like an actor from way back when that was the original inspiration for the character of Wolverine. So they kind of tweaked the voice a little bit to sound more like that actor. And a lot of people don't like it. I don't have a problem with it whatsoever, but I want to know what your thought was, because I know you do love Wolverine.
I honestly really haven't noticed. I've been.
Okay.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I've been so just enthralled. Now, granted, now that you mention it, I would have never noticed that his voice was different.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I went back and rewatched something.
I will say the easiest scene to tell the difference, that it kind of clues in more, is when Jean is going into labor. And she comes out and says, "Oh, he's coming!" And he goes, "Who? Apocalypse!" Which made me laugh hysterically. I love that line so much, but it's the one line you can tell it does sound different from the original. But I again have no problem with it. I almost kind of like it better.
I think he's really. I don't know. I think my thing about this right now is my focus has been elsewhere, this whole time.
That's another thing I did want to bring up that I thought about the show, that I like about this show, because it's really easy when you're doing X-Men related things, and if you look at the movies, you'll tell this is a thing. It's really easy to make Logan the main character of everything, because Logan's awesome. He's got a great backstory. When you were working in the movies, you had Hugh Jackman. He's a big name. But it's easy to make him the main character. I'm actually glad they're giving Wolverine more of that side character role in this show. Yeah.
But I'll even say this. I hope we do get 1 or 2 episodes where he is the lead, because we've gotten episodes where this one was where Rogue was front and center. We've already had Cyclops front and center. We've had a couple of Jubilee front and center episodes, which kind of surprised me. Yeah, I'm really hoping we get a Morphin Wolverine episode, or each have their own individual episodes. I think those could be very, very interesting. And the fact that we've also gotten even half episodes where Storm had her own, she left, but we still had an episode of her, and now we've met Forge and all that. But this all comes back. I have to ask, in the latest episode.
Yes, Bright Eyes, for everybody who's listening. Episode 7.
Yes. Sorry. So we are recording this as of April 25th. So episode came out on the 24th. Who's the guy that has Magneto at the end tied up?
Ooh, man.
I figured you would know, since you're the Marvel comic book expert of the group.
I wouldn't say expert.
Of the group. Of
the group, yeah. I would say I know. Out of the two of us, I know more. Expert's a strong word, though.
Well, you are more of an expert than anybody else that I know. Oh, sorry. I actually have the IMDb page of 97 Up, and Nightcrawler just popped up. I want to say one last thing real quick before you answer that question.
Okay.
I love that Nightcrawler is still his very much his faith-based self, and that even in this episode he shows up he's become like a spiritual leader to a massive degree, and I really think that's cool.
Yes,
Anyway, continue.
because
Sorry.
in the original series, there's a whole arc when you first meet Nightcrawler in the show. I think he's an ordained priest, which is why he
I don't
does the
remember that.
funeral. Yeah, I think it's in the episode Nightcrawler when they first meet him. He's in a monastery, and but I'm pretty sure they said that that's why he's doing the funeral because he is an ordained priest.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Anyway, please answer my answer my question.
Yes. So let me put it this way: the character's name is Bastion.
Wait.
Well, go ahead.
No, sorry. You said the name and it clicked something. Continue.
Yeah, he's been used in some things before, but I don't think ever as the main villain. Because they're kind of telling a story from the comics that had another character as his role to a degree. Because the mass attack on Genosha was something that Cassandra Nova did in the comics. This character, his name is Bastion. How much? If I say too much, it's going to spoil, I think, these next 3 episodes for you. How much do you want me to say?
That is a very good question. At this point,
I'll tell you.
I now know the name of the character, but I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm supposed to know more. Like, is that how I'm supposed to be feeling? Because they made it out to be when they hit his face, and then they had the radio turn, and then he killed the dude.
Mm-hmm.
My brain is telling me, like, oh, this is somebody we've met before. Like, this is, but now I'm realizing I don't think it is.
Okay, so if I'm gonna say this using the hints that are dropped in the episodes we've seen, mainly this past episode. I don't want to spoil what may happen here. I'm going to use the things that are shown in this episode to describe him. First of all, when Sinister comes and meets him later on, when we think that Sinister's the big bad, then he's working for this guy. Sinister does say, or Bastion tells him at one point that he's like one of those little villains. And then Sinister says back, "You were one of those little villains once before." Which is kind of true.
Okay. How many episodes do we have left? That's what I need to ask.
3. You have the 3-part finale starts next week.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So at the end of May, we're gonna have a lot to talk about this.
Yes.
So I mean,
I don't think saying this part about this character is going to spoil what may happen in the episodes. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what his main character, what he is in the comics, which I feel like is probably going to be the same thing.
I don't know if I want to hear it, actually. now that you've said all this, I'm like, because I'm at that point where I'm like, I'm already considering waiting 3 weeks.
Okay, I'll put it this way:
catch all 3 episodes at once. Also, my job ends in 3 weeks, so this would be like perfect.
So, are you waiting for the 3 up to the end of all 3 to watch all 3?
Probably not. I don't have the patience.
Okay, I know at one point you said you might.
No, I was saying I might, but I don't know.
Next month, I would say we're probably going to have this conversation before then, between us. But next month, for everybody who's listening, who's like, I just heard Jordan ramble about how to describe a character, not to spoil for Lane. Next month, when we wrap up X-Men, we'll talk about Bastion. People out there who know who Bastion is know, and I will say this is not a spoiler, it's going to get crazy.
Oh no.
I
don't know if my voice crack came through, but no.
It did. So all I can say, buckle up, Buttercup. I also have some thoughts. I don't know if I
gotta warn
I don't think this is spoilers. I think this episode specifically, in this episode and the episode of the Genosha attack, I think they're setting up things for new seasons as well, and to some of the more modern stories that are told in the comics, but telling them with these characters, because they're kind of finished. They're still telling stories from like the '90s right now in the comics, starting to enter some of the more modern stuff. But I think this episode, I think that they tease some stuff about where Scott's going, because Scott's just feeling some kind of way. Deservedly so. The man's confused.
The man
He's
has
got a
been
lot
through
going
a
on.
lot.
He's got a lot going on. But he also, all the X-Men, Scott and Beast specifically, are starting to go that route. Was like, have we been fighting the right fight? Do we need? Have we been fighting the right fight? And I think this is going to send some of these characters down a route, some stories that were told in some comics that led to a really big X-Men comic that I know a lot of people want to see adapted. I don't think we'll ever see it adapted in the movies because it'd be kind of interesting way they could do it in movies. But I think they could be potentially setting up doing Avengers versus X-Men. I already know they want. I've already greenlit season 3. They want more after that.
Season 3?
Yeah, I've already greenlit season 3. Season 2 is already close to being done.
I need these. I need these now. Because I'm going to be honest with you. I just read a comic myself, a series, Secret Empire.
Mm-hmm.
I have like Marvel Insider, and I used so many points, but I got a month of Marvel Unlimited for free, and I read Secret Empire. And one thing I didn't realize is that in that comic, Beast is an ambassador for a country that is not America.
Is it Krakoa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also think, hold up.
Well, that's one of the things. I think this show used Genosha as their Krakoa, because Krakoa is a big jumping off point for some really big X-Men stories that they seem like they may be pointing towards. And a lot of those stories lead into Avengers vs. X-Men. And I think it was really interesting that this episode, for one, introduced that there's a Hulk in this universe. We knew Cap was already in this universe, but Cap's on a team.
Yeah.
Because he tells Rogue, he's like, me and my team are going to Mexico City. I believe he's talking about the X-Men, or about the Avengers.
You think so? I thought he was working for S.H.I.E.L.D. at this point.
He could be, but I feel like we could be bringing the Avengers in too.
Because he talked about doing it the quote right way. So to me, it's made it sound like he has a team of like S.H.I.E.L.D.
But you got to remember,
agents.
Early Avengers was brought up by S.H.I.E.L.D.
True.
And like the movies that started through S.H.I.E.L.D. and some of the TV series that started through S.H.I.E.L.D. So it could be still a S.H.I.E.L.D. based Avengers. We go down a way. Granted, this is just my theory. But looking at what we're introducing that these characters are there. Cap's on a team. I'm seeing some of the things driving that way. I could see possibly by season 3, maybe if they do a season 4, seeing them doing Avengers versus X-Men. It would be a way that they could tell that story on a screen without having to do it on a movie, because I don't think that Avengers versus X-Men honestly would work well in the MCU on the big screen. It's too big of a story.
But you know what just dawned on me?
What's that?
They could use this as a stepping off point. If they introduced more members of the Avengers, they could, because of the popularity of this show, they could literally step off with another 90s based or 90s stylized animated show, but make a new Avengers show.
They could.
And then do like crossovers where it's X-Men versus Avengers.
Yeah. And we do technically know, based on the original running of the series, Spider-Man is canon to this universe, because the Spider-Man 90s show crosses over with the X-Men, the animated series.
So that's even cooler.
So we know we have a Spider-Man, we know we have a Cap, we know we have a Hulk. we're almost there. Come on, Mr. Feige.
Okay, you're gonna have to mention like why do we know we have a Hulk? My brain's not working.
When Rogue broke into the military base,
They did mention the Hulk.
Ross, and they said we're in a building designed to withstand the Hulk. We can stand her, and she broke through it.
That's when I was like, oh, she's mad.
There's nothing out there stronger than a rogue that's been wronged.
I think I saw that on Facebook like an hour after the episode dropped.
Yeah, I saw that one
too.
Just
that phrase.
Yeah. And speaking of Rogue, and this arc she's going down, my jaw hit the ground when she dropped that guy on top of the building.
Oh yeah, frick yeah.
That was Trask, right? It was Bolivar Trask.
Yeah.
When she dropped, when it did the slow motion of her hand opening, I was like, oh my gosh.
But I love how everybody just stood behind her, like,
yeah,
we don't do this.
But we want to, but we don't.
And then the look on her face of, we do now.
Yeah.
Remind me to stay on your good side, please.
Just get her some beignets and you're fine. Some beignets and some gumbo.
No, I think that'll be worse. I think that would be worse.
Oh, Gambit made
because he made beignets. And plus, she's not from New Orleans.
Sorry, I don't know that kind of the South. I'm from the Carolinas.
I know Mississippi and Louisiana slightly better. Being from Mississippi myself, I'll mention that. So yeah, when I found out she was from Mississippi, I was like, that's making a lot of get her some fried catfish. Avoid mention of all beignets, and I think we'll probably still die because catfish are also a New Orleans thing.
I feel like catfish is a Southern thing.
Catfish is very much a Southern thing, but also it's really like catfish and crawfish, or like, and catfish, crawfish, and beignets are like New Orleans tenfold.
Yeah, but also if you get her Cajun Bayou food, she's gonna think of her boy Remy.
Yeah, so you just gotta find that Southern comfort food and avoid any mention of New Orleans.
Shrimp and grits. That's a Carolina thing.
Shrimp and grits.
Anyway, like a weird tangent right there.
Suddenly, this has become a food podcast.
Yeah. So, I will say, is there any? I have one thing. I want you to talk first because I feel like I've kind of been dominating this conversation a little bit.
Good. No, I'm kidding. What?
Is there anything about the show that you feel like it has not hit as well? Because I know for me, there's one thing in particular. I love everything about it so far, but there is one thing I wish they would have done different. Is there anything for you?
I'm actually like having a hard time thinking of anything because I'm going to be honest. I tend to come home from work and watch it, and for like that short period of time, that 30 minutes, having been born in like 92, I feel like I can revert back to childhood me. And just, for the first time in a long time, just enjoy a show.
Have you watched it with a bowl of cereal yet?
No, but I need to find French Toast Crunch.
Mine's Lucky Charms.
Mine was French Toast Crunch. So
I'm instantly like transported.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna mention this real quick. I'm on the X-Men 97 IMDb. And there's like a trailer playing, and it's been just the beginning sequence over and over again. But all of a sudden, there was mention in this little snippet from like the director going, who knows? Maybe we'll have some crossovers, maybe some reboots, and it's showing Iron Man.
Yeah, because all those there were 4 series in the 90s that are considered to be canon to each other. The only ones that ever actually crossed over though were Spider-Man and X-Men. But it's saying that the Iron Man show and the Fantastic Four show also may be canon.
Yeah, so that's what makes me wonder. I'm wondering. I'm hoping. This is not even wondering anymore. I'm like hoping, praying.
At the same time, I always take
all of it.
At the same time, I always take those interviews with a grain of salt because anytime an interviewer asked them, "Could we see crossovers? Could we see this?" They can't say anything because Marvel has the sniper bullet, and
you see that little red dot on the
little red dot comes up. And they always go who knows, maybe, it's a possibility, because it is a possibility.
It is a
So who
possibility,
knows?
but that's why I'm like, I like the fact that the director is saying that gives me hope, because the way that I look at it is, no, I get that they can't say anything because Marvel has the final word, Feige has the final word, but it's 1,000% like, if somebody comes into this never believing it's gonna happen, then I'm never gonna believe it's gonna happen. I'm not gonna assume or even hope for any crossovers or anything to that degree until one of the directors mentions it. Because in my mind, when a director goes, who knows? It's like in my head, I'm going, oh, so they want it to happen too. Now I can hope it happens. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at. But what were you saying? What was your biggest? You said you had a gripe about the show.
I wouldn't say it's a gripe. It's a nitpick at this point. In a way that I said I wish they would have done this a little bit differently. The split episode, the Motendo / Life Death Part 1.
Yeah.
I do wish they were separate episodes. I understand why they did it, because Life Death Part 1 is a very heavy episode. The Storm episode.
Yeah. Well, I was just trying to think, like, how could they have? Because in my mind, I'm like, I get that nitpick, but at the same time, I also don't get that nitpick.
Well, I was going to explain why in a second.
Go for it. Tell me, please. I'm drawing blanks.
I feel like the Motendo part was about as long as it should have been. Maybe lengthened it a little bit to get it to like that 20-minute point to make that its own. I feel like I needed more from Life Death. Because I feel like we went through that first part of Life Death really quickly to the point when he's like, I love you. It's like, all right, that was pretty quick. But they've actually been together for a while. And I wish we could have gotten a little bit more of that. But that being said, I still love the episode. That's just my little thing. Is like, I wish I got a little bit more of this. But knowing how these people are taking care of this, there's probably a reason why that I don't know. That's just my little thing. I wish I got a little bit more of the Life Death. It'd have been too much to do both Motendo and more of Life Death in the same episode. I feel like they did it so because it's such a heavy thing to have a lighter thing come in before it.
Yeah, I don't think that they could have. My thing about it is I keep forgetting what's it called. You said Motendo.
Motendo.
I feel like that isn't enough. Even if they had lengthened it, because it feels like a filler episode. It really was a filler episode. Mm-hmm. So we had half of a filler episode, or half of a time slot is a filler episode, and then we go into the only thing that episode really did was kind of solidify their relationship, which I think is really cool. And I kind of want to mention one last thing about I've already forgotten the kid's name.
Jubilee?
No, the other kid.
Oh,
It's
oh my gosh! I know his last name's DaCosta. Is it Eric DaCosta?
Why are we drawing absolute blanks?
I watched this episode this morning.
Dude, I can't even find it in the cast. It's not Roberto, is it?
Yeah, Roberto DaCosta. Yeah.
Yeah, Roberto.
Can't believe we blanked like that.
Just, oh my gosh. Like, his relationship with his mom. I was so excited, and then I got so mad so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But I've already completely blanked on what I was trying to say.
You're talking about
that's how today's been. So I like getting to see that solidification of their friendship, or more. We'll see. But it's definitely like whole episode felt like a filler episode.
What if
they had a story that involved more people?
Okay, what if this then? What if we got that longer bit of Life Death, but Motendo was still a split episode with something else? Maybe we get a side adventure with Jubilee, and we get a side adventure with Wolverine and Morph, because we haven't seen much of that relationship there, but you do know they're close. You can see that they're close.
Yeah.
Maybe have a split episode of Motendo and another one Wolverine and Morph. I don't know. I just feel like I needed more from Life Death.
I'll agree that we need a little bit more from Life Death, but I feel like we could have just almost could have cut the filler, but then we wouldn't have gotten. There's
I
a whole
think the
side
filler
story there as well, and that's what's kind
that
of
is an important story to tell, especially
going.
when we get to where they are in this last episode.
Okay, I have a quick question, and it just dawned on me. Genosha. Where is that? Do they ever explain that?
In this show, I'm not exactly sure.
Because
Genosha
in my
moves
head,
around a
there's
lot.
some. Okay,
It's an
I'm gonna
island.
go to Google. But is
I
it
don't
a
know if it tells.
man-made island?
There's rumors that we're going to get Genosha very soon in the MCU, but
According to this, Genosha is a fictional island in the Marvel Universe that appears in X-Men comics and located off the southeastern African coast,
I was thinking somewhere over in
northeast of
Africa.
Madagascar, northwest of Seychelles, and its capital city is.
Did they confirm that for this
Okay.
show?
No, that's on Wikipedia.
Well, I meant I know that in the comics it's usually somewhere around Africa. I don't know if they
I haven't seen. I literally haven't
in the
seen anything about
movies
it.
in the X-Men movies. I don't think they ever tell where it's at. You just know that Genosha exists in Dark Phoenix.
That's the other thing too. Is in my head. Don't know why I was thinking this at all. Doesn't make any sense. For some reason, I was thinking Genosha was in the Atlantic, like up toward Greenland. For some reason,
There's an island. Isn't there an island in the Marvel universe somewhere up there?
I feel like there was an episode in the original X-Men show that they were in the Arctic area.
I go to the Arctic all the time because the Savage Land is underneath Antarctica.
No, there was. Wait. Other way. I'm talking about the Arctic, not the Antarctic.
Oh, I heard Antarctica. My bad.
No,
My bad.
Arctic. I'm talking about the north, up by Greenland. Because I swear there was an episode where, you know what? No, it wasn't X-Men. It was another X-Men show. It wasn't this, the preview for this. But there was an X-Men show in which, why am I blanking on everybody all of a sudden? Cyclops and his brother were put through a machine and super evolved.
Was that
I don't know if you remember that.
Was that X-Men Evolution?
It might have been X-Men Evolution because they were in high school.
Yeah, okay. I've watched one episode of Evolution, and then Netflix dropped it the next day.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah, which is funny because the same thing happened with the animated series. I started the first episode of the animated series, like the '90s one, back when it was on Netflix in 2011 or 12, and the next day they dropped it. God. So I watched Wolverine and the X-Men instead, which is great. But and then I went to start X-Men Evolution, and they're like, "Sorry, buddy, not today.
Not for you.
Wait till Disney Plus comes out." I'm like, "What's Disney Plus?"
Take my money is what it is.
That is that is 9 years away. What are we talking about?
Well, let me ask this because it just hit me that we've actually been talking about X-Men 97 for 30 minutes already. This is what happens when we get excited about stuff.
I could do this all
and we're
day.
gonna be talking about this again, probably in our May episode, because then the first season will have ended, and we'll have so much more to talk about at that point. But let me ask: were there any other? Because I know that we watched X-Men. What else did we watch this month? I know we've both seen Rebel Moon Part 1. Coming off of Netflix.
I just watched a few days ago. I watched Rebel Moon Part 1 to get ready for Rebel Moon Part 2. I didn't get a chance to see Rebel Moon Part 2. My plan was to see it today. That didn't happen. But I did watch Part 1. You've recently watched Part 2.
I did. I watched Part 1 when it came out, I think in February. And then I watched Part... No, it was this year. It was just a few months ago, wasn't it?
I don't remember. I remember when it came out. I don't remember when it came out. I remember it coming out.
Yeah. That's how it goes. Oh, no, it was December. My bad.
It was December
22nd. It was a long time ago. No. So I remember, I watched Rebel Moon Part 1, and I liked it. It wasn't my favorite thing. It felt like a knockoff Star Wars.
That's actually what I was going to say.
And then I heard that it was actually supposed to be a Star Wars movie, and that he got denied. So that makes me laugh even harder.
That's the way I look at this, and this is gonna spoil a little bit anything about our next episode we do. I watched Rebel Moon Part 1. I did not like it.
That
But it's not
surprises me.
but it's not my least favorite Star Wars movie.
Ha! I'll say this: I don't like it. I don't even like it as much as my least favorite Star Wars movie, which says a lot. I think
It's gonna take a horrendous movie. No, I have seen movies that I like least in my least favorite Star Wars movie, but I haven't seen a Star Wars movie less than that. It takes a lot to get underneath that level because I really don't like one of them. But I'm not going to say that until our next episode.
Which we'll talk about at the end of this episode. We'll mention when our next episode is.
Yes.
Well, it's not really an episode, but we'll talk about that in a minute. We won't talk about that, but like I've already got my favorite character from Rebel Moon, and it didn't change, and that's what I love and I hate about it at the same time.
I didn't
because
come out with a favorite character.
My favorite character is not in it very much, so that should tell you everything right there. I like the robot dude.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
Everybody forgets about him because he's voiced by Anthony Hopkins, which to me is so funny.
Also,
then like the knockoff, what is it? The knockoff Han Solo, Gunner, dude. I like the guy that's running around with, Cora.
The Charlie Hunnam character. Is the name of the actress Charlie Hunnam? The one that winds up turning on him in the end.
No, not Charlie. No.
The one that's
Michael
from her planet.
Husman.
The
Yeah.
one that's from her planet?
Not her planet, but the planet she landed on. Yeah.
Yeah. The guy that oversees the harvest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's one comparison I want to make this movie to, and it kind of like it makes me wonder. Like, I wonder if this is the reason why it got denied. But it dawned on me that these two movies, they don't feel like they could be like the first one feels like it could be a little independent until the end of the movie. And then the second one doesn't feel like it's independent at all. And it even feels like it's setting up for the next one, which I think is interesting. Do you mind if I talk about the second one for a second? I know you.
I want to say something about the first one.
We mentioned spoilers ahead. Oh yeah.
I wanted to talk about a little bit my thoughts on the first one before you jump on the second one. I do not mind if you spoil it because now I don't have to watch it. But my biggest things with it, I actually did not like how a lot of the action scenes were structured.
Really?
I know Zack Snyder likes slow motion cuts a lot, slow motion action scenes a lot. I think he went a little too overboard with the slow motion in some of the action scenes. But that's actually not what my biggest gripe is on this movie. I cared nothing about any of the characters. So the weight is kind of gone. That I don't care at the end when they all get caught. I'm like, all right, cool. I don't care that the Empire is here to take you.
That's kind of
And the way they introduce each character, I wasn't like they felt like a 30-minute action scene with each character. Like it sounds great on paper, but like it kind of really hurt the pacing for me. Especially the guy that had to ride the bird horse.
Yeah.
That scene was a little bit too long.
It actually almost felt like a bunch of potentially like a bunch of episodes that were combined into a movie.
That's exactly what it was. It felt like an anthology series put together.
Yeah, which makes the second movie feel even more awkward. But I mean, like comparing, like you said, that the fight scenes, it felt like he used too many of that one particular shot. To me, it's almost a comparison to like J.J. Abrams in Star Trek. Too many. What was it?
Lens flares. Lens flares. Well, that was a J.J. Abrams thing even before Star Trek.
Yeah, and then when he took over Star Wars, like that episode of Star Wars, everybody like flipped out. Yeah. No lens flares in Star Wars, and then there wasn't any, but he just somehow messed it up anyway. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, but my thing is that definitely felt like an anthology film. But then after having watched the second one, it dawned on me what the story was. Do you know the story of the Seven Samurai?
Yes, it is. This is literally that story.
This is literally that story, but
Every
in
franchise,
space.
every expanded universe franchise does this eventually. Star Wars already has
Yeah.
one. It's like one of the first seasons of Mandalorian. They do that story.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
But
and Seven Samurais is also one of a movie that I watch quite a bit. A movie I like a lot. Magnificent Seven.
Yeah, which version?
I like both. I like both of them. I think I like the original a little better.
I don't think I've ever actually seen the original.
I used to watch the original with my grandpa all the
Magnificent
time.
Seven. Oh, okay. I watched John Wayne with my grandfather before he passed, so I get it. But I will say that this felt to me, this didn't feel like a Seven Samurai story though. And let me explain what I'm talking about. This felt like not a Seven Samurai movie or a Seven Samurai story. This felt like a Magnificent Seven story. Specifically, the rebooted Magnificent Seven story. What I mean by that is it feels like a knockoff of a knockoff of a knockoff
Of a knockoff.
of a knockoff. So
Of a
that's
knockoff.
kind of that's exactly my point. Like it feels because I've definitely felt like the updated Magnificent Seven in 2016 with um
Denzel.
like Denzel and Chris
Chris
and
Pratt.
Ethan Hawke and
A
Vincent.
very stout cast.
Like great movie, but it definitely felt like a remake of the original Magnificent Seven movie, even though I've never seen it. It didn't feel like they were retelling the Seven Samurai story.
Yeah, that's fair. And I also feel like it's a story that so many different kinds of things will do that anytime anybody does it, it feels so familiar that you're like, oh, they're doing Seven Samurai, or oh, they're doing Magnificent Seven.
Mm-hmm. But
Because that's
that's
what
the
Ellie said
problem. Is
in that
if
Mando
I
episode.
yeah. Well, that's the thing is, I feel like the Mando episode was making a nod to the Seven Samurai episode. I feel like Magnificent Seven is a nod to the Seven Samurai movie. I feel like Rebel Moon Part 1 and 2 are a nod to Magnificent Seven's reboot being a nod to the original Magnificent Seven being a nod to Seven Samurai. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there was a
Yeah.
lot lost in translation sort of thing. But I'm actually still going to recommend you watch the second one.
Okay, I
Like the
might.
second
I
Rebel
might
Moon.
one day if I have time.
Like,
uh,
turn your brain off and enjoy it, sort of thing.
okay. So what
Because,
you're
at least for the action sequences. Because in my mind, the second movie has better action sequences.
okay, okay. But what I'm gathering from what you're saying, the first Rebel Moon movie is like the first half of Magnificent Seven.
Yeah.
And then the second half, part 2, is the second half.
To a degree.
Okay. So this
Because the
gather the
second half.
people, train the people,
Yeah.
fight the people.
So taking that into consideration, the first movie is the gather the people. Period.
Very
The
much so.
second,
It
the
literally
second
ends at
movie,
that point.
yeah, and then the second movie is the people arrive. You prep the people. You fight the bad guys. But then there's
Do the
still not a
bad
whole lot of the prep people.
do the bad guys come to
So
them?
it's
You know what else is a Magnificent story? Magnificent Seven story. Now that I'm thinking about it, A Bug's Life.
you son of a gun. Holy Toledo!
But now that I'm thinking about it, is Rebel Moon closer to A Bug's Life?
No,
Okay.
because I feel like A Bug's Life is a. I feel like A Bug's Life. Now that you've said that, oh, this hurts me. I feel like A Bug's Life is a nod to Seven Samurai. I still feel like Rebel Moon is a nod to Magnificent Seven's reboot, which is a nod to the original Magnificent Seven, which is a nod to Seven Samurai. I
Okay.
still feel that way. just because of the way that the stories play out is
Hmm.
so vastly like incomparable. My mic is falling. Sorry.
Oh no!
I definitely feel like the Magnificent Seven story can be told a million times, and I will listen to it every time. However, I do not feel as though um I think what really bothered me about this particular version was that the um once I realized it was a retelling essentially of I feel like this was a retelling of the Magnificent Seven and not a retelling of the Seven Samurai. And once I realized that, I kind of enjoyed the second movie a little less. However, I still enjoy the second movie, Rebel Moon Part Two.
Are,
So I still
now
recommend it, but you
from
still
some
now you understand where I'm coming from.
yeah, I do. Also, knowing that you like the first one better than the second one makes it really hard for me to want to watch the second one.
No. Did I say that?
Did you say
I
that? I
really.
think because no,
No, I feel the
I
other way
actually
around.
I twist it in my brain. Because you said that
I think I like the
realizing that
second
one
one.
thing. Because you said realizing that one
Yeah.
thing makes you like it a little less. My brain twisted that as you like that one
Oh,
less
less
than
than
the
the
first
first
one.
one. No. I like the second one more than I like the first one. I'll 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 say that. I really actually enjoyed the second one
Okay.
more than I liked the first one.
Well, I might give it a shot one day.
So,
Yeah.
but
But that being said,
don't
because I recently
don't
watched
take
this
all of
movie.
your time to do so. Do it on a day that you're bored out of your ever loving mind and have nothing else to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that being said, that was one movie I watched recently that I was not a huge fan of, Rebel Boom Part 1, but I have seen some more movies recently that I have some thoughts on. We can go through real quick. I know you
Mm-hmm.
haven't seen these movies yet, but I want to kind of rattle them off real quick, give my thoughts on them.
Go.
I saw Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, the new Ghostbusters movie.
Okay. Now this one,
Uh,
I'm somewhat interested in seeing it. I
okay,
haven't had money
so I'm not gonna
until
spoil
recently.
it. I'm not gonna spoil
Hmm.
it. I'm just gonna give you my general thoughts. Because I know when that movie first came out, critics panned that movie.
Really?
It was not, dude. Like the Rotten Tomato score was very low.
Oof.
But
What's the
I like this
Jordan
movie a
score?
lot. Let's see.
Maybe we should start coming up with our own scores.
I have it rated on my Letterboxd.
I need to start keeping up with Letterbox. For those that don't know, Letterbox is an app for moviegoers like you and me.
It allows you to track, review, and rate the movies you see.
Not sponsored. Unless you
Wink,
want to.
wink, wink.
Nudge, nudge.
So Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, critic rating 43%,
Ooh.
audience rating 83%.
Okay, well, I
Jordan
figured that
rating,
was coming.
Jordan rating 4 stars out of 5.
Okay.
I did like this movie a lot.
What about compared to the other most recent one?
To Afterlife,
Yeah,
this is hard to compare them
good. I like when you
because
say that like,
because Afterlife very much is like a point. It's a legacy sequel, so it's very much pulling from those original movies because like the main story of Afterlife literally involves a villain from Ghostbusters 1 with Gozer, and it kind of helps using that story to bring in old characters and new characters. This one is very much its own story.
okay.
So it's kind of hard to rate them to compare them that way.
I'm glad to hear that though.
I feel like, and I watched Afterlife twice before I watched Frozen Empire because my brother and my mom both have not seen it. So I watched it with my brother. Then my mom came into town and we watched it with them, and then we went and go saw it. Uh, so I very fresh on both these movies. I
Are they back in New York in this one?
yes, they are.
Okay. No, I definitely gotta see it.
Um, I feel like if I had to say which one I like better, I probably would say I like Afterlife a smidge bit more.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
Maybe more than a smidge. I think I did Afterlife. I did like Afterlife a bit more than Frozen Empire, but I do love both those movies. I love all the Ghostbusters movies. I'm a big Ghostbusters fan. That was one of the movies I was very excited for this year. So yeah.
I know we got a lot coming up that I'm really excited about too. But
we got a lot coming up.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Some other things I watched. Thought I watched more than this, but I watched the new Roadhouse remake on Amazon.
Okay, I watched that one too. I can mention. We can talk about that. I did in fact watch it. We can talk about that for a second. I've not seen the original, so I can't compare it.
Okay.
Have you seen the original?
I have.
So I'm gonna let you compare it real quick.
Outside of this, the main plot of those stories, nothing compares.
Really?
Outside of the fact that he's hired to be a bouncer at this roadhouse and help clean it up.
Okay.
And then there's the people that try to get him out. Everything else about the story is different. Because in the original Roadhouse, you mind if I spoil it a little bit?
Go for it. Go for it.
In the original Roadhouse, the character that Dalton, the main character, he's legit like a legendary bouncer. That movie has this wild backstory of like everybody in these roadhouses and bars had this like network of legendary bouncers. Because you're like, you hook them up, and it's like, oh, that's Dalton. And the rest of the story is pretty much completely different. The love interest is the same; it's a nurse.
Of course.
And he's like here to help the roadhouse. But outside of that, everything else is different. So that's two different perspectives. We've seen both movies. I will say I watched this movie as its own thing. I didn't compare them when I was watching it. So what did you think of Roadhouse?
I actually enjoyed it to a large degree, which I was very surprised in.
Me too. It's a fun movie.
It really is. I
was completely ready to hate it. Because the trailers, I don't think, sold it very well.
It didn't. Because it made it... The only thing that I did not like, and I'm kind of scared to say this out loud, for fear of being hunted down.
Uh-oh.
I did not like Conor McGregor in this movie.
I could see that.
Because he came off...
Like Conor McGregor.
Like Conor McGregor. And which is what he was supposed to. He came... I'm gonna say this, and I feel like I'm going to regret it. He came off as a psychopath, which he's supposed to come off as a psychopath.
That is his character.
He didn't come. No, but here's the thing. No.
Oh,
what I mean by that is, he was supposed to come off as a psychopath. He was supposed to. He came off as a silly psychopath.
Oh, I gotcha.
And there's a massive difference. I've seen movies where people play psychopaths. People that I was very surprised. Then they played the psychopath a little too well. But to me, his psychopath just... I don't know. His voice irked me.
Okay.
And it was do you think that was intentional? Possibly. But at the same time, why? Because there's this weird break for me where I'm fully invested in this movie, and then suddenly he starts talking. And he appears on screen. When he appeared, I was like, this is kind of cool. But his walk was robotic.
I think that's his walk, though. I think that's how Conor McGregor walks. I'm thinking about every time I've seen him in the octagon, when he walks away, that's how he walks away.
But at the same time, that's different. That's him playing the character of... Maybe not. I don't know. I'm having to literally look this up right now. But there's just this... I swear that I've seen him walk like a normal human being. And it was just a very, shoulders out, elbows out, walking away, and I'm like, that is so weird. Because there were points in the movie where he walks normal, and then like he does that. I was like, why? I thought the whole scene where he is first introduced was stinking hilarious.
Yeah, where he burns the village down, takes the guy's
For the
clothes.
shirt, wasn't even the
Yeah,
guy's clothes. For his jacket, that was it.
yeah.
Um, but then just I don't know. He can't. I feel like I don't know if he's been taking acting lessons, but I feel like he's not quite done. I'm just gonna say it.
Was this his
That's what I'm gonna
first role?
say. I don't think so. I'm googling him and it's coming up with other things. Let's find out. Apparently, he was on. Oh, his IMDb is like nothing. I'm
Yeah,
seeing Law and Order Ritz Investigations, which was a short,
he
and
didn't even make the main
then
roster.
oh no, like that's not even.
He didn't even make the
I
main
don't think
Law and
that's
Order roster.
no. Like, but also I don't think that's the right Conor McGregor.
Oh,
Like that's the thing is like there's two things that pop up. Was he in? There's a movie called Triple X. Where did it go? Triple X Return of Xander Cage.
that feels like that's a little bit too long ago for him to be in.
Yeah, but I don't think he was in that.
Hold up, I'm looking at his thing now. I pulled it up.
His?
No, he's not in that.
No. So this is the first time I've seen him in anything that I can think of
This
where
is
he
I'm
actually
looking at his
played a
IMDb
role.
here. His IMDb is literally like Roadhouse, and then UFC 25 years in short, EA Sports UFC 3, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. He played Captain Bradley Fillion for the voice. Uh, more UFC games, more UFC stuff.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
completely misspelled his name. That's what it is.
it's one in.
Who is Captain Bradley Fillion?
I don't know. I've never played a Call of Duty
Oh,
game, so I don't
no,
know.
this is like I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this as well. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare was my favorite was my favorite Call of Duty. Because space. So
I
I'm
don't
a
know
little
anything.
surprised that um I don't recognize that character name because I that's one of the very okay, yeah, I recognize him now. He played like two characters supposedly, or one character. He was a bad guy, um, supposedly,
Okay,
but
I
also
feel like I
supposedly
feel that fits Conor McGregor though.
he definitely played a. Oh, he's actually got two parts, but he plays like an NPC on the side, and then he also plays like a main, like one of the villain's main right hand man people. But I'm looking at all Conor McGregor cutscenes, and the video is only 6 minutes long. So
Well, there you go. There you go.
nothing against him, but I feel like he played like giving him a psychopath character. Now that I'm realizing that he did well in that voice, I think, or at least in the movements of the capture character. So I'm wondering why he did what he did with this character. I don't know. But just not my cup of tea, I'll say that. I wish they had gotten somebody else or asked him to tone it down a little bit.
Yeah, but at the same time, that it could have been them asking him to amp it up.
I don't know. Again, to each
Either
his
way,
own.
we
I
see where
think he played
you're
those
falling
fight
there.
scenes very, very well, but I just don't feel like he played the character in the normal-ish circumstances very well. I'll leave it at that. But what was another one on your list, though?
Let me grab my thing here.
Hmm.
And I also just recently, now that it's on Paramount, I tried so hard to see this movie in theaters. I booked tickets several times for it. That's the A-list in me. I didn't get out there. I saw Bob Marley, One Love.
Okay.
It's also a movie that overall I enjoyed. At the end of it, I was like, I like this movie. This was a good movie. Um, I think there were some issues there, but it's also an issue that comes down with a lot of biopics. You have to be careful how you pace a movie like that,
Mm-hmm.
because most biopics don't follow a 3 arc structure because there's how they have to tell a story. I think they actually did a really good job because they didn't do Bob Marley's entire life.
Okay.
They did, but they kind of hinted at flashbacks through some of the important things from when he was a kid and like growing up. It really only told between the peace concerts he did in Jamaica up till he, I don't remember how the movie ended now.
Well.
I'm trying to remember exactly how the movie ends because the movie ends with a you know how a lot of biopics do in the credits they play the actual stuff that happened, like
Mm-hmm.
actual footage. And I'm trying to remember what was actually the end of the movie and what wasn't.
Well, that to me that means it's a pretty dang good movie.
Yeah, I said I did like it a lot. There were parts where the pacing kind of slowed down and it almost lost me, but then it picked back up. But also, I like the music was good. I like reggae. It was good. So anytime they were recording or they were doing something, it was good. A big part of the movie though, throwing it through like his priest concert in Jamaica, but a lot of it was recording of his album Exodus, which is considered to be his best album, and a lot of people consider it to be one of the best albums ever recorded. And then shortly after that, into when he was diagnosed with cancer. But I don't remember exactly where the movie ended. Anyways, but yeah, I did enjoy that movie. I did enjoy the movie. But I love a good biopic. It's done right. You there?
Yeah. Sorry, just thinking. Brain went numb for a second.
I was like, oh no, did I lose him? It's like,
No, I like saw something on my phone and I looked at it for a second, and then I got distracted by it a little
yeah, I
bit.
thought I was wondering if I was having the same issues I was having
No,
technically
no, no.
as we did before
The
we started
technical
recording.
issues, yeah. No,
Before we
no,
started
my
recording.
brain just had technical issues. Okay, though, but that's. I was actually realizing because I haven't seen that movie and I didn't really wasn't really interested. I don't really get into a lot of reggae. There's a couple of things, but most of the things that I listen to, if they're reggae, it's mostly like Disney remakes that
Okay,
have been
okay,
reggaeified.
okay.
Like there's a
Yeah,
whole album of it, and I love it, but it's still Disney music. It's not full on reggae music.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I love the sound of a steel drum,
Yeah.
which is really interesting because steel drums are usually associated with like tropical and like beach settings, and
Hmm.
I hate beaches.
Ah, well, it's even more
but
ironic because I
but I
love
can listen.
beaches
But I can
and I
listen to a
can't
song
go
with
to them.
true. Right, right. But it's really funny. I'll hear a song with a steel drum in it, or like, and I'll be like, oh man, this actually makes me want to go to a beach.
And then you get there and you're like, no, how dare it?
I go full blown Anakin Skywalker, man. I hate
Oh,
sand.
it gets everywhere. Um, but yeah. Well, were there any more movies on that list?
Uh, just the only I thought I saw more, but the only thing left is a movie that I know we both saw. And
Yeah.
this was Kung Fu Panda 4.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this. I did see Kung Fu Panda 4, but I went and saw it with my sister-in-law, and I told her something at the end of the movie, and I think I made her mad, and it makes me laugh. I have not seen the second or the third Kung Fu Panda movie.
Uh, that
Um,
that's a shame.
so I was a little lost when they started introducing some of the villains.
Yeah, yeah,
The only things that I've really seen that were Kung Fu Panda, where I saw the original movie, and then at some point I saw they had that Nickelodeon show that was
yeah.
Kung Fu Panda,
Yep.
and it
Yep.
just made me stop and go, okay. So like this whole movie, I'm sitting there going, I don't recognize. Was that in an episode or was that in one of the movies? Because I didn't even watch all of the show. I watched like 2 episodes, and I think 2 of the villains that I saw in this final sequence of Kung Fu Panda 4, or not in the final sequence, but in one of the final sequences, I literally was like, I think I remember this villain, which is really funny to me that technically it's not canon, and yet they're here.
I wouldn't be surprised if they made it canon though. Had like a big like end game moment,
So
but instead of heroes jumping out of portals, it's villains, literally.
jumping out of a portal.
Yeah. Uh, before we really get into Kung Fu Panda 4, though, now that I know you've only seen one of the 4 movies, did you like the first one?
No,
You didn't like the first one?
I've never been a Kung Fu Panda fan.
Wow.
Like this is yeah. But that's the thing is like I don't know what it is. I never got the Kung Fu Panda love. But it's the same thing with How to Train Your Dragon.
Don't tell
I
me
never
that!
I never got into I've seen the first How to Train Your Dragon. I've not seen any of the other ones. I've really not cared to. Yeah. For those at home, you just heard our friendship snap in half.
So I think you were expecting me to have a bigger reaction when you said you hadn't seen Kung Fu Panda 2 or 3. Because you know
Yeah.
I'm a big fan
I
of those movies.
expected
I like
the
those movies a lot.
I
I
expected a
think
bigger reaction.
you hurt me more by saying you didn't like How to Train Your Dragon.
I won't say that I didn't like it. I just
You just said I didn't like you were the
okay. I
fan.
didn't like it. I'll say it. I didn't like it. It's just not my thing. DreamWorks has never really been. They've made a couple of movies that I absolutely love. Like I think this is DreamWorks. I'm not even sure. I liked Shrek. I love Shrek.
That's
I
DreamWorks, yeah.
liked. I can't even remember the name of the movies now. The faith-based ones that they did. What
Uh,
was it?
uh, Prince of Egypt.
Yeah, Prince of Egypt. I loved Prince of Egypt,
A
but
strong
it
movie.
always what?
It's a strong movie. It's like
It is
strong.
fantastic, even, and it. I loved it. I love it now.
Great music.
But most DreamWorks
Playing with the big
projects,
boys now.
I couldn't care less about.
Wow. That I don't know why that's so shocking to me. Because and maybe Kung Fu Panda is one thing, but like for some reason I thought that How to Train Your Dragon would fall right into your wheelhouse.
Because the character has one leg?
No, no.
See, I know a little bit, but
Because he
not a
lives at
lot.
the end of that movie, that first movie. But like the How to Train Your Dragon movies, I think I love them. Oh, this is
It's,
surprising to me.
I'm going to be honest, like fantasy. I think that's where it loses me is that it's a fantasy movie. I don't really get into fantasy, which surprises a lot of people. I've never seen Lord
I
of the
think
Rings.
I actually think that doesn't surprise me. A lot of people haven't. But
I've
I
never seen
think
Harry
that's what
Potter either.
we've had that conversation before. Now that I'm thinking about it, that you don't really get into fantasy because you were surprised that you like Dungeons and Dragons, Honor
Yeah.
Among Thieves as much as you did.
Yeah. But
Because
I
that
play
really,
Dungeons and Dragons, but I like the sci-fi element because even like my brother, I have 2 brothers, and the youngest is the forever DM, and he actually made it's a very short-lived campaign, but we designed a campaign, or he designed a campaign that was in space with, I think it was, I forget what D&D expansion had just come out, but an expansion had just come out. I forget the name of it, but it's the spacefaring one. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it on the podcast. But um we played a little bit of that. We played like 2 weeks, and then schedule conflicts happened because it's D&D. But I enjoyed the Honor Among Thieves, but I just haven't really gotten anything else. Like I don't get into fantasy, never have,
Okay. Okay. We'll get back to the
except for like
original.
Chronicles of
N-
Narnia.
you didn't like Narnia?
Oh, I love Narnia.
Oh,
That's
okay.
there. See, I feel like this is like the me not enjoying fantasy is the rule, and Chronicles of Narnia is like the exception to the rule. Does that make sense?
Okay, that's fair.
Like I feel like Honor Among Thieves and the Narnia movies are the exceptions to the I don't enjoy fantasy rule.
Okay. Okay. Well, to rope ourselves back into the main story now that I've
Sorry.
knocked myself back out of the astral plane after that talk about. Um, what did you think of Kung Fu Panda 4?
Hmm. It was enjoyable to a degree. I almost fell asleep
Okay.
twice. I will say this: I enjoyed it because of. I don't think I had left the house in a few days, and so that was awesome to get to leave the house.
Didn't that amplify your
Um,
love of Wonka too?
what?
Wasn't it Wonka that was the same thing? Or there was another movie you saw last year that you said you feel like your feelings of it were amplified because you got to see it in a theater it was like your first seeing movie in a theater in a while.
I don't remember. It wasn't Wonka because I saw Wonka in January. By that point, I'd already been out of the house a few times. There was a movie last year. I know what you're talking about. I don't. Indiana
Well,
Jones.
okay.
It was Indiana Jones because I had just started healing. Because for those that don't know, I had an open wound on the back of my leg last year. Won't go into detail, but I wasn't allowed to leave the house for like 8 months, except to go to the doctor to get it looked at. But even there, I was laying on my chest the whole time, so I was really laid up for 8 months. And Indiana Jones came out halfway through, and I got permission to sit for like 2 hours, which was the length of the film. I still fell asleep in Indiana Jones. I think I don't remember a portion of it, but that was like that movie that I enjoyed because I had been laid up for 4 or 5 months at that point, and finally got permission to go see the movie. And so getting to sit up for a little while to see the movie made me very, very happy. I also got sick in the movie, so that was a whole nother thing too.
Oh, you had a very adventurous indie situation.
I did. I hated my life for like 48 hours afterwards.
Okay.
And now I'm kind
Well,
of afraid to go back and rewatch the movie because I don't want to lose that intense
you don't want to lose the
okayness.
magic.
I don't want to lose the intense okayness for that movie.
Intense. Okay, that's a good way to put that movie. Uh, and that's coming from somebody who didn't really hate that movie, but it's
It was intensely okay.
yeah, it's almost pretty dang good.
I think
Almost.
that particular movie it pulled on nostalgia enough
Yeah.
to, but also had enough new stuff to to kind of hold just a tad bit of your interest.
Hmm.
But anyway, back to this. Sorry,
Yes.
back to Kung Fu Panda.
So
I feel like
so
Kung
you
Fu Panda 4 was a
enjoyed
good. I feel like Kung Fu Panda 4 was a good turn your brain off and laugh at the stupidity movie.
also to since you haven't seen Kung Fu Panda 2 or 3. For listen, Kung Fu Panda 2 I love a lot. I actually love all the Kung Fu Panda movies. But Kung Fu Panda 3, Magnificent 7.
Really?
Yeah, it's set up a little different to how it's set up, but it's Magnificent Seven without the getting the people together part. It's literally the two ending parts of Magnificent Seven, like training and then the villain comes.
I'm gonna have to. Here we go. I think
So
my
I
only
do
thing, the reason I want to even watch it is the fact that uh looks like I am an idiot. I'm looking at the cast for Kung Fu Panda 3, and I feel like a moron
hmm?
because I did not realize the big names that were in Kung Fu Panda.
Dude, the cast is stacked.
I know that Poe is Jack Black, and I know that Angelina Jolie is Tigress, Monkey is Jackie Chan, and Mantis is Seth Rogen. But for some reason, it never dawned on me that Dustin Hoffman is Shifu.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is.
Or that Bryan Cranston is Lee.
Yep, that's Poe's dad. Yep.
What?
His actual dad, not the goose. His deuce is his deuce.
His dad Goose.
His dad Goose. His adopted dad was played by James Wong.
Hong.
What did I say? Oh no, I said Hong. Oh yeah, yes.
You
Thank
said
you.
Wong.
I did. I was thinking. I'm actually looking at. Or I have Rotten Tomatoes pulled up from when we looked at the Ghostbusters thing, and bizarrely enough, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is showing on this thing, and I saw Wong, so that's why I said it.
Of course.
But yeah, he's him. Lucy Liu plays Viper.
Yeah. What is going on?
It's that cast, man.
Dang cast.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a stat cast, man. In the second one, Gary Oldman plays the villain.
Sorry, I just got distracted by American-born Chinese commercial that came on
You saw
IMDb.
Oh, on IMDb. I was like, man, that came out a while ago. How are you seeing a commercial for that?
Like it's apparently that show was stacked too, and I was not aware.
Yeah,
but I so love. Yeah, and
you seen
what's her name? No, I haven't.
Michelle Yeoh.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it. It's good. I hate that it didn't pick up. Like it didn't find its audience.
That's aggravating. I hate when you fall in love with a show and it gets canceled.
I wouldn't say I fell in love with it, but
I'm just talking like
I did enjoy it.
That's more of a gripe about streaming services.
But yeah, man.
There's a lot. There is a lot that that happens behind the scenes. I don't know. My brain is not functioning right now.
Michelle Yeoh is actually in Kung Fu Panda 2 as well.
Okay, I gotta go back and watch Kung Fu Panda at this point, like all of them again.
I would. They're good. Actually, I love Kung Fu Panda 2. Kung Fu Panda 2 for a while was my favorite. I think going back, first one maybe goes back to it, but the first two very strong. Third one I like a lot, not as quite as much. Because my review of the fourth one, I like it a lot. I think it's my least favorite Kung Fu Panda movie.
I can see that.
I think it's mainly because it felt weird not having the Furious 5 there. But I understand why.
That was a strange thing. I don't know. Sorry, continue.
And I kind of get it. Like I feel like that movie, it might felt a little bit too stuffed if they were there, because there was a lot going on. I think you could have found a place for them, but maybe they couldn't find a place to use them. I don't know.
I think it'd been interesting to cut to like one of them, but
Yeah.
like just. I think it'd have been funny to get like Angelina Jolie to come in for like one line and just
like they did Seth Rogen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'd been funny.
Movie.
I think a big name star. Ooh. Sorry, I texted my brother to see if he had any of the movies. I think it'd be really, really funny to have like Angelina Jolie come in or Jackie Chan come in and record one singular line.
If Jackie Chan said one line in the fourth one, I think he'd have just the same amount of lines he had in the first one. He doesn't talk much.
That makes me mad, actually.
The first one. He has a lot of lines. He has a lot of lines in 2 and 3, but yeah, I think all 3 Kung Fu Panda movies are on Netflix.
Really?
I believe so. Because I watched Kung Fu Panda 3 on Netflix for sure. And I'd imagine if 3's on there, they're probably all on there.
I'm gonna check that. Well, speaking of first transition of the night, speaking of streaming services, I have a complaint. I know nobody of any importance is gonna be listening at any time soon. But I have a complaint about Disney Plus. just for a hot second. Sorry. Um, now that you can find uh things that go to Hulu are now showing up on Disney Plus, especially if you've got the bundle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People already, in my complaint, the thing that makes my complaint useless or worthless, and I think it's hilarious, is the reason I have this complaint is not for any reason other than people already confuse um what is it? People already confuse movies like Kung Fu Panda and or Shrek or Puss in Boots, or they already think that those are Disney movies. And now you can find a lot of things like that on you can find a lot of those things now on Disney Plus. And so that's not going to help the confusion at all.
Yeah, I could see that. I also have some very strong thoughts on this because I also do not like it. I think it was fine the way it was doing during beta. During beta, Hulu was its own tab.
See, that wouldn't bother me.
It was no problem. My big issue with it, with Hulu coming on Disney Plus, is that it seems like Hulu stuff is making Disney Plus stuff harder to find.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cluttered my homepage for things I'm not watching. The algorithm, I don't know how it's picking up on. Like, I was turned it on earlier to watch X-Men 97 with my brother, and I was curious. And you know how the homepage has that thing at the top with the title card, and it's got like 10 or so things on it. And I was like, let me see. And I was scrolling through, and I was like, let me count how many things are actually Disney Plus stuff. It was 4 of them. X-Men 97 was not one of them. But I got like American Horror Story and like Shogun, which I've heard is great, but that's not the point of this argument. It's like I feel like all the Hulu stuff is really pushing the Disney Plus stuff out, including stuff that is on Hulu and for some reason feels fine being on Hulu, but doesn't feel weird. It feels weird being on Disney Plus. Do you know you can watch Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom on Disney Plus now?
I was not aware. But I did open Pacific Rim on Disney Plus the other day. So it's weird and I hate it. I have a feeling I know what's happening. And
I know
makes
what's
me
happening.
mad.
I know what's happening.
What do you think? What do you think? What's happening?
It's 1,000% a money thing. It's also a way to. It's a way of you can bring people on to Disney Plus easier. Be like, hey, look what's all on Disney Plus right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it also catches people. The same reason Netflix succeeds. Yeah, Netflix has their original stuff, but there's everything else. And for a while, that's what Disney had. They had the Disney Plus original stuff, but also had all of Disney.
Yeah.
And now they can be like, hey, you can watch other stuff in here now too.
Well, I feel like we're gonna get to a point where Hulu is gonna be no longer a thing.
I 1,000% see that.
And then what they're gonna do is they're gonna charge double for Disney Plus. Oh, because it also has Hulu stuff on it. I don't care. No. They're gonna get to a point where their fan base has dwindled so much that people are gonna do like people already will subscribe for like a month and then cancel. Just to watch
when that thing's coming, they'll book 2 months because everything is 6 episodes long. They have to have it for 2 months, and then when that show's done, they cancel.
Or they might just wait until the second half and then do 1 month
and watch it all
at the same time. Because I mean, I can see that happening, and I can even see people waiting until like December and doing it and sitting down in December and watching everything at once. And I'm about to do it with another streaming service. I'm not too proud to say it. I'm probably going to do it with Apple Plus, where I get like a month of Apple Plus. because I want to watch one of the shows or one of the like one show on there, and I think a couple of the movies or something like that,
So
or a
it's funny
couple
you
of the
say
shows.
that because I did the same thing. When Ted Lasso ended, I canceled my Apple TV Plus because I'm like,
Mhm.
there's nothing on here that I'm really interested in. But they just released a show recently that was that I was interested in, and now that it's completely dropped all the episodes, I grabbed that 1 month, and we're finishing Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. And then
Okay,
when that's done, I'm probably gonna cancel it.
mine is the I can't even remember the name of it. It's the space one. It's the moon one that they ended up going to Mars. I can't remember.
I saw the tab for it when I was looking for Monarch. Uh,
It's gonna bother me now,
it's got
but
several seasons, right?
oh yeah, yeah. It's got
It's a show that you recommended for me a while ago, and I don't think I ever watched.
how
For All Mankind.
yes, how dare. Um, like that's I really want to see that. Now they got Argyle on there. I need to watch Argyle, and I need to watch Ted Lasso. But I think I'm gonna wait because I have a job that's. I think my job is ending in a few weeks. We'll see if it continues. I'm on like a short contract with them. Uh, but I hope I get to continue, or at least go into next year or something like that. It's at a school. I'll just say that. That's all I'm gonna say though. But I think if I did it during the summer, if I knew I was gonna have a job later, I could get Apple Plus during the summer, and then just spend the summer binging everything.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with Ted Lasso, because that was something like I wasn't interested in until TikTok started showing me things. Which I feel like people are gonna get paid a bunch of money now just to quote steal clips unquote from shows and movies, because that's a market.
Uh,
What
if that winds up becoming a thing, I guarantee you something will happen. If we even still have TikTok soon.
we'll see. But if it's not on TikTok, it'll be on another service.
Yeah, I know
Um.
YouTube pulls stuff fast usually.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But
I can
Argyle's on
see.
there, and I really want to see Argyle. And then Killers of the Flower Moon seem to be
Mm-hmm.
okay. There's a few other things on there that
Is
I
that
would
on
love
there?
to see. What?
Is that on there?
Killers of the Flower Moon?
Yeah.
It was a project that they did. Yeah.
Oh well, then I'm going to have to do that. I think Napoleon's on there too.
hmm I just saw that.
Um,
I've got it up right now. Um, where did it go? Swear I just saw it. But anyway, oh, Pacific Rim Uprising too. I need to rewatch it. I really enjoy the Pacific Rim. Anyway,
I've
last
only seen the
thing
first
before
one,
I
but I
get
liked it a
this,
lot.
I did find Kung Fu Panda 3 on Netflix. However, there's a fun little tagline right below its title that says "Last day to watch on Netflix, April 25th."
You're kidding. They X-Men you.
They
They
X-Men me,
they did to you what they did with me with the X-Men. Thanks Netflix.
and it's like literally too late for me to even start it.
Yeah, I feel
I
that.
think if I started it, I might get most of it. Granted, I don't know because it depends on what coast they do this with. If they do it with the California coast, I'm probably fine. But I also have to get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, so I'm probably not fine.
Oh yeah.
I'll just wait and borrow them from my brother and his wife because I'm pretty sure they have them. But anyway,
If we didn't live
um,
as far away as we did, I do have all three of them. But there's
well,
several states between.
several. Let me ask this: Is there? I know we're kind of getting to a point where we've been going for quite a while now. Is there anything that you want to mention? I know there's one project. Are there any projects you're looking forward to in the coming months? Not
Um.
even just in May, but like in general. What are the
Oh,
like the or any projects you're surprised about that you might be interested in watching?
I know it's already out, but there was a movie when I first was hearing about it. I didn't think I was too interested in seeing, but after seeing the trailers and stuff, I feel like I'm very interested in, and that is Civil War. I
Do want to
really
see
want to see
that one.
Civil War. Um, uh, surprised.
What about Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare?
That was one of actually I want to see. I know it's already out. I want to see it. That's not as soon as I heard Henry Cavill was involved, I'm like, yes.
Well, I wasn't sold. I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't sold until I started seeing trailers. And it's funny because I just convinced my youngest brother to go watch it with me. So I think we're gonna go try to see that next week some point. And then I
Okay.
want to see Civil War. Maybe we can talk about Civil War and
I, I I will say you said that you weren't sold until you saw a trailer. I didn't think I remember hearing about Ungentlemanly that movie. My tongue's not gonna let me. Uh, I don't remember hearing about that movie until right before the trailer dropped, which is saying
really,
something. I'm usually in the know about what's going
you
on,
really normally you are, yeah.
especially with
That
actors
really
that I'm a big
surprises me.
fan of, like Henry Cavill. So like I heard about it. I'm like, oh, what's this? And then I'm like, when's it come out? Oh, very soon.
Tomorrow? No.
And I feel like
Um,
even the trailers they dropped pretty late to the release of the movie.
it did.
So like, but I want to see that one. May has a bunch of movies I'm excited for.
Hmm.
Um, not including the re-release of the Mummy that I may or may not see.
Oh,
Um,
and I'm definitely going back and rewatch and like because our local theater is actually doing it this year. The May 3rd re-release of Star Wars: The Phantom Menace.
yes, yes.
I am 1,000%. What the heck? Sorry, I have IMDb opened up and something just played, and I'm massively confused because it was like a trailer, and it was like Pop Tarts, the unfrosted story, and there's an
Oh yeah,
explosion.
that's a
There's an
movie.
explosion, and I'm like, what is happening?
Watch that whole dude. Watch that whole trailer.
I will right
It's
when we're done,
it's
and then I
bonkers.
can talk about it. I need to see it
Uh,
now because
but
the people that are in it. But there's one project that I wanted to mention that I'm like, I don't know how to feel about it because
oh
I'm excited, but also curious. There's an actress that is about to be in a sci-fi movie that I don't recall ever having seen her do a sci-fi movie before. And it's got me confused
is it a Netflix
because
movie?
it is a Netflix one. You know exactly where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I just saw the trailer play on the Rotten Tomatoes tile I have up here, but I saw the trailer for it first a couple days ago. Is it something Atlas?
It's just Atlas.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. With Jennifer Lopez. Like, has she ever done a sci-fi movie before?
I don't know.
She's done action movies and she's doing more and more recently. She actually did one a few years ago. Peppermint that I went and saw.
I
I
think
think
she
she was
did an
in.
action movie last year on
I
Netflix.
think
I
that
think.
was no, that wasn't her. That wasn't here. I just made a boo boo. My bad. Ignore my last statement. She did one called Mother that was the same story as Peppermint. That's where I got confused.
I haven't seen either one of those movies.
Don't worry about it. No, Peppermint was pretty good. Mother felt like a remake. Um, but she has decided to do more um action movies as of late because in her IMDb page it says, let me see if I can find one. I can't even. She's been woman. Jeez,
It's a lot, man. She's been going for a minute.
she's been doing projects for a very long time. But she did one called Mother, and she had done something else that was also an action movie, and it just kind of made me stop and go, okay, cool. Oh my gosh, 136 things as an actress.
That's that's a stacked filmography.
Mm-hmm. But
Oh,
anyway,
snap. I just thought, I can't believe I didn't think about this. You're talking about a movie that you weren't excited for until you saw a trailer for it.
mm-hmm.
I just thought of one that's the same way. And when the first time I saw a trailer, it became a movie that would jumped very high into my most anticipated movies of this year. I don't even think it would. I don't even think this may have been on my list we talked about in that first episode. I am so stinking excited to see the Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt.
Yes, that's been on my radar for a little while, but it just seemed like a silly movie for a long time.
Yeah, I read like the premise, and I was like, I like Ryan Gosling, I like Emily Blunt, I like them both a lot, and a lot of the people in the movie, I like them a lot. But this plot seems interesting. But then I saw that trailer, I'm like, oh boy. And then I saw it was directed by the guy who did Bullet Train. I'm like,
Oh,
absolutely,
yep,
take my
they
money
sold me. You
right
sold
now.
me. You sold me. You absolutely sold me. Okay. But on that note, we got a lot of stuff coming up. Like I know Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes
Which
hits
was
this
one of my
month.
top 5 most excited.
That was mine as well. I remember that. We have to see that.
Yes, I know that.
So
I know it's been out for a minute. I haven't had a chance yet because my brother's catching up on some things we watch it together. Godzilla X Kong. It was a movie that I was very excited for. And I'm like, I need you to hurry up and get caught up so I can go see this movie.
well, I'll say this: May's episode is going to be stacked.
Yeah, it is.
If we can get to the theater to see all the things that we want to see, May's episode is going to be insanely stacked. We may have to do a 2-parter or something. I don't know. Or I'm going to have to find.
Our good news is based on our release schedules. One of the movies that was also in my top 5 most anticipated comes out either the day we record or the day after we record. That's Furiosa, and so I feel like that would be, we save that for the next episode.
We'll definitely have to be very, very careful because I'm actually surprised how much we talked about X-Men today. But I do want to mention one other thing.
I'm surprised how much we talked about the Bob Marley, not Bob Marley, Roadhouse.
Yeah, that was interesting. I didn't know you had seen that.
I didn't either. I didn't see it either.
I didn't remember watching it either. No, but I do want to mention one last thing. We actually have a special coming. Can I talk about this?
I think now is the best time to do it.
Are you okay if I say this out loud now?
We've hinted at it throughout this entire episode.
We did. So, we are recording this as of April 25th. This particular episode should release, if I can get all the editing done properly, on April 29th. For the first time, I know we've only been going for a few months now, but we are going to have 2 episodes within a week of each other.
Crunch time.
We are. Oh, my headphones are dying. We have our first episode dropping on the 29th, our April episode, and we are doing a May 4th special. So next time we will actually be posting an episode on May 4th in celebration of May 4th because we are massive Star Wars nerds.
I was about to say, for anybody out there, I don't think anybody who's listening to this doesn't know why May the 4th is important. There it is. Star Wars Day.
Because May the 4th be with you. I have a feeling at this point it's an
Never mind.
it's a massive thing. We both celebrate it. My brother, my younger brother, not my youngest, but my younger brother, actually got the day off of work. And we're going to go see, because Phantom Menace is re-releasing in theaters for its 25th anniversary. We're also going to attempt to, there's like a new nerd store in our small town. And I'm going to attempt to purchase the new card game that just came out, Star Wars Unlimited. And then I'm going to attempt to purchase that. And then we're going to probably go down to the card store and play that for a few hours after we go to the movies. And then come home and probably play video games. Because at this point, I know of at least one video game, possibly more, that are going to have Star Wars events. Somebody's going to be wagging their finger at me but I'm a Fortnite player sometimes, and their massive Star Wars event starts on May 3rd. And I cannot explain to you how excited I am because I just found out that they're releasing Chewbacca as a playable skin.
Oh.
And I already have Han Solo. It took me about 0.5 seconds to convince my younger brother, who is also a Fortnite player. Actually, both of my brothers are. But it took me all of 0.5 seconds to convince my younger brother to purchase the Chewbacca skin so that the night of May 4th, we are going to run around like chickens with our heads cut off in the Star Wars event as Han Solo and Chewbacca. And it's going to be fantastic. And I will have zero regrets. Except probably how much money I spend.
I will say for me, I think I think this has been talked about maybe every episode we've done so far. The fact that I have not caught up on Bad Batch.
Mm-hmm.
I saying it right now because the finale for season 3 is May 1st, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they should have waited the 3 days, but
They should have.
in our case, it may be a good thing. It's not because we get something to talk about.
Yeah.
I will have Bad Batch caught up before that episode drops on the 1st.
I hope so. Because I need to have discussions about this show.
I have 6 days to watch a season and a half of 20-minute Dave Filoni, so it shouldn't be that hard.
You say that. There are going to be episodes though where you have to pause and walk away from your TV for a minute. I'm just going to say
that.
No, out of like stress.
That's what I'm talking about.
There's going to be episodes that you're going to have to like go clear your head for a second. It's not going to be but just a second because you're going to be so into it. There's a chance you may not sleep until you finish. Like, just going to be honest. Think in this last season, so much has happened in a very short period of time that I've gotten mad, I've gotten happy, I've gotten scared, I've cried, I've feared. I jarred my dog awake from screaming. And that was before the episode started. No, that's a joke, sorry. But I've been a Star Wars nerd as long as I can remember. No, that's a lie. I've been a Star Wars nerd since I was 13. When I was finally allowed to I apologize, I'm having to like move my headphones around. I'm using AirPods and one died, so I charged it for a second, and now the other one died, so I had to swap. But Star Wars has been my thing since I was 13. I saw I saw Revenge of the Sith was my first PG-13 movie in theaters. And I can talk more about why my love of Star Wars. I can talk about all that next week. So just as a heads up to anybody listening, we are definitely doing a Star Wars episode next week. We're both excited about it. I've already got my clothes picked out for the day,
do too.
May 4th. It's going to be awesome. We will probably talk way longer than we normally do. I say that, and then we'll probably do the shortest episode ever. But
every time we say we're going to do a short episode, we do a long episode.
Yeah, and when we say we're going to do a long episode, it's a short episode. So it's both ends of the spectrum. But anyway, on that note, thank you for joining us today. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about real quick?
I think that's it.
Cool. Well, I'm glad we're on the same page about a lot of stuff. But I think it's hilarious that we're on opposite ends about How to Train Your Dragon. I just need to watch more How to Train Your Dragon, I guess. Kind of force feed myself that franchise.
Listen to the soundtrack, man. The score for How to Train Your Dragon is so good.
Okay. I'm not going to deny the score. I won't deny the score. But it's the movies themselves.
I know. I mean, I also love the movies, but the score is magic.
But if I can get into it, maybe in the future I can go to Universal Studios once they've built, because they're building an area for that in Florida, and I really want to go down there and check it out. maybe we can meet up and go. Maybe you can drive down and come to it with me, or fly down or whatever. But anyway, thank you for listening to us. We really appreciate you hanging out with us. If you made it this far, congratulations. If you didn't, how dare you? You'll never hear this note.
They don't know. They don't know we're shaming them.
They don't have a clue. Anyway, all right. It's late. I'm losing my ever-loving mind. So y'all have a good night.
2 minutes before it's Jordan Lane After Midnight, and Jordan Lane After Midnight is a roller
Not
coaster.
as rated R as people. We need to say that real quick.
Oh,
if
true.
There's ever
not like
Lane and Jordan After Midnight. It's not like a rated R thing. It's still rated G or PG.
It's not after dark.
It's not after dark.
After midnight. We lose our minds.
We once had a conversation in a parking lot until like 3 a.m. and by the end of it, we're both so delirious it was difficult to drive home.
Yeah, it was.
Like to our respective homes. It was hilarious.
They weren't that far away though, luckily.
I wasn't. You were further away than me.
Further, but not. Anyways, we're starting to go in that tangent again.
I think we're talking about two different instances.
We got 1 minute till after midnight.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways.
Good thing we're in different time zones. Anyway, y'all have a good night. Y'all have a good night. And thanks for joining us, and I'll see y'all, I guess, next week.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
All right.
Less than a week.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, not.
I don't know. I'll lost track of time.
Yeah, you're right. Less than a week. Not from the time of recording, but from the time of posting.
When you're hearing this, people.
All right. We've taken a tangent again. Y'all have a good night.
30 seconds. Later, everybody.